Hi everyone, I'm Tori. I'm a doll collector and I create videos for other doll collectors and doll enthusiasts to enjoy. If you're new to my channel, welcome, and if you're not new, welcome back. In today's video, I'm going to be reacting to a video by a large content creator who recently covered the Reborn doll hobby / Reborn doll community. There is a lot to talk about in this video. So this video was made by Hannah the Horrible. That is her YouTube channel name. I will link this video in the description of this video as well if you want to go see the original video or comment on the original video. Disclaimer, I am commentating on her content, so under fair use law, I can show this in my video. Also, last time I did a reaction video like this about a large content creator who made content about the Reborn doll community, I said that I was going to get a better setup last time, that I would try to make it look better, more professional. But you know what? I'm here with my iPad again because that's what I have to work with, and I rarely make these reaction videos. But if you guys want to see more of this kind of content, go ahead and let me know in the comments. And I just tried to make the setup as easy as possible. It's late at night and I had to get my children off to bed, and it's been a very long day, and I've been trying so hard to squeeze this video into my day somewhere. So here we are. This is what we're working with. Anyway, let's go ahead and get started. We're gonna take this all the way back to the beginning here.
Shortage. Just because you might have to go to 2 or 3 different stores doesn't mean there's a formula shortage. Just could mean that they don't have the one that you feed your baby with.
People here were initially crying when they heard that a baby was found dead on the side of the home behind me, but then those tears quickly turned to shock when we found out hours later that baby was just a doll.
It is not okay to roleplay that you have an autistic child. I can't believe I actually have to say this, and I'm probably going to get a lot of backlash and caught up in all sorts of drama by putting this out here, but this is incredibly offensive.
We're going to talk about this a little bit. It's very uncomfortable, and I will just warn you now that you're going to be uncomfy. It begs the question, though, if we are producing dolls like this, will there be the wrong type of person also secretly purchasing them because it's legal to do so?
Okay, we're gonna stop there. First of all, I don't like that she immediately put together a bunch of clips of stigmas and crazy things that have happened, crazy things that are said right away. But I do understand why she did it. She did it to play the social media game. You need a hook at the beginning of your video to pull viewers in and to keep them watching your video. So that was her goal in doing that. The problem with that when it comes to the Reborn doll hobby, a lot of people already have a lot of bad thoughts about the Reborn doll hobby and doll community right off the bat. And most people don't watch past the first minute of a video. Just in general, watching videos on social media. So that right off the bat could make people be like, yep, I knew that the doll community was crazy, and click away. Well, that was crazy to watch. So I just had to talk about that a little bit. Now, let's continue. Oh, by the way, this video is very, very long, so I will probably be just picking bits and pieces out of this video, the most important parts that I want to talk about, because if I talked about this entire video, my video would probably be like 2 hours long.
And disturbing. There is a weird amount of niche drama that goes on in the Reborn doll community. And
okay, I will agree with that.
As well.
There is definitely a lot of drama that goes on in the Reborn doll community. Yeah, I mean, she's right. She got that right. Can you guys imagine, for those of you that are also doll collectors in the community, when this woman came looking for Reborn doll content to talk about, and the amount of drama and crazy that she ran into online. I'm sorry, y'all. It's not a good look. It's not a good look for our community. The drama is everywhere. I just had to say it.
Now, I've wanted to make a video like this for a while, but I've hesitated because I feel like this community gets so much hate, so much bullying.
Okay, she's right about that.
Get mad at me before you even watch the video. I do urge you to keep watching the video because there's a lot of nuance here, and while I have a lot of criticisms of some parts of the community, I do go over first and foremost why a lot of the hate that they receive is unwarranted, and I do not judge people.
Now, I give Hannah so much credit for saying this right off the bat. Like, she encouraged people to actually listen all the way through, actually give it some thought, because a lot of people just see the Reborns and they get really bad feelings seeing a realistic baby doll. They get the uncanny valley feeling. They even have feelings of just fear and panic when seeing something that so closely resembles a real baby. I have this same reaction when I go to like museums and they have adult-sized wax figures. Those freak me out, you guys. I am scared. I just, the hair prickling on my neck, like, no. And I understand that some people, when they see the Reborn dolls, feel the same way. So I can understand that. But credit to her for saying this, because I don't think I've ever seen a large content creator who covers the Reborn doll community say this before. Like, no hate to them, no judgment, actually give it some thought, don't jump to conclusions. I think that was pretty fair. So, like, thank you. Thank you for that, Hannah.
For the most part, a lot of the people that are in this community. So if you're part of this community, please don't be scared of this video. And if you're not part of this community and you've always thought these were weird and creepy, maybe keep watching also, because your opinion of Reborn dolls might be very different by the end of the video. And even though we're going to go over all the creepy stuff and all the controversy, I think it's also important to better understand communities like this so that we are less likely to judge and less likely to hate on them. So just please bear with me, watch the video before you have one opinion or the other.
I tried to skip her sponsored ad here in her video, and now my iPad is just buffering. So while it's trying to sort that out, I didn't even introduce you to the sweet little Reborn doll, Reborn Art Doll, that I have here in the video. This is Reese, that's what I named her. But she is a beautiful, one-of-a-kind piece of artwork. But this doll is the Gracie May sculpted by Laura Lee Eagles and painted by Laura Inglis of Lavender Lullaby Nursery, like I was trying to say.
Let's give you a quick crash course first. Reborn dolls are hyper-realistic dolls. A real, true Reborn doll is a hand-crafted doll by a real
She got this right.
Referred to as a, quote, reborner. They're so hyper-realistic that they are
I have to pause there. I have never heard of a Reborn artist referring to themselves as a reborner. Never have I heard that. No, I've never seen that. I maybe once upon a time heard somebody refer to Reborn doll artists as reborners, maybe once. That is not a term that we really use in the Reborn doll community. We call them Reborn artists or just painting artists. I've never heard of that. Anyway, sorry, continue.
Often mistaken for real babies. If you just saw one in a stroller, you probably wouldn't think twice. You would think somebody had a newborn with them. Typically, these dolls are made by an artist taking an existing doll from a factory, vinyl or silicone, and they remove all of the paint from this doll's body and head. They remove all the paint, all the features. They then meticulously paint the doll.
Okay, I have to stop that here again because that is also not exactly true. Let me explain. The Reborn doll community, The origin of it is that in the 80s, they started to finally create realistic vinyl baby dolls. There was a market of doll collectors and children who really wanted realistic vinyl dolls that they could really play with. Back then, there were doll artists making one-of-a-kind realistic porcelain baby dolls, but obviously porcelain is extremely fragile. People wanted something that they could actually handle, play with, enjoy. So then these realistic vinyl baby dolls started coming out onto the market in the 80s. By the 90s, we had realistic vinyl baby dolls like Lee Middleton dolls. I'm trying to think of some others because I know there was like one or two more that were really popular, and into the early 2000s. In the 90s is when people really started seeing real reborns coming onto the scene or being created. So back then, like she was just saying here, people would take those realistic vinyl baby dolls, they would strip all the paint off, and then they would add paint and add details to make the dolls more realistic. Then came along the name Reborn, because the doll was reborn into something new. That's where the term reborn came from. Nowadays, a lot of people don't take an existing doll and then take all the paint off and then start over like that. Usually, we just buy Reborn doll blank kits, which are basically 3D vinyl canvases of the babies that are sculpted from a lump of clay. Sculpting artist takes that lump of clay, sculpts a baby, sends it off to factory. The factory will produce it into vinyl, and then from there, painting artists will buy it and paint it. And then as far as silicone goes, silicone is a little trickier. So usually silicone is poured by hand by an individual artist. So it's sculpted and then poured, and silicones are in much smaller editions than vinyl. Silicone is also much more fragile than vinyl and harder to work with. Anyway, quick explanation, but she did get that a little bit wrong there. Reborns most of the time nowadays actually are created from blank vinyl kits.
The many layers of paint to make the doll look as if it has real skin and real features, like down to seeing kind of veins beneath the skin. If their eyes are open on the doll, their eyes are replaced with more realistic eyes. The artist then weaves in often real human hair, which can take many, many, many hours of work. They weight the babies to match more how it would feel to hold.
Now, as far as the hair goes, when a doll is rooted, actually most artists are not rooting with real human hair. Though they can, most dolls are actually rooted with mohair.
A newborn, like they especially put weights in their head so that their heads, so you can give them a pacifier. Some of them have, speaking of how much you're willing to pay, as you can imagine, these things are pricey. They really started in the early 1990s. These things have actually been around for
That's
several
pretty
decades,
much true.
And they've more just become more popular in the recent decades with the niche on TikTok.
The internet, yes. The internet has made these spread like wildfire, but that's like every niche hobby.
Real artist-made reborn doll for less than a few $100s. If they're under $100,
That's pretty much true.
Cheaper, like you can find on Amazon and other places. 99.999% of the time it's a scam, and the pictures, there's so many reviews. If you go through, there's so many reviews saying that the picture advertised on whatever generic website does not match the doll that arrives in the mail. The price is very, very justified and very, very valid. If you want something that looks hyper realistic, like a...
Now, when she says that the price is very understandable and valid, that means most likely that she understands art, and that these dolls, like she actually understands and appreciates art, and that it takes a lot of time and talent, skill to create these dolls and make them look hyper realistic. So that's really amazing in itself, because art is very undervalued in today's society. Just my personal opinion.
Real baby, you cannot expect to go pay $50 on Amazon for it and get something high quality. Like I said, these artists spend hours and hours and hours on just one doll, even weaving in, like we talked about, real human hair. So a few $100s for the less experienced artists or ones just...
She did end up finding Reborns.com. I can tell by the listing styles here that this is from Reborns.com, and that is the best website that I would recommend, especially if you're a newer collector and you can't tell the difference between like real artist made real reborns, and that's what you want is an artist made doll. I would definitely go to Reborns.com, because there's a lot of people out there who are trying to take advantage of the fact that there's a lot of new people who are interested in these dolls but don't know a lot about them. So yeah, Reborns.com. That is a good place to go.
People collect these. People get very, very passionate about this hobby, and some people genuinely just collect them because they like them. However, there are a lot of legitimate uses to having a reborn doll. Grief is a big one that is talked about on social media. It's a lot of older women that have these dolls, but I've seen a lot of younger women.
I do give Hannah credit for that, for mentioning right away before she got into the reasons why people collect these dolls. She said a lot of people collect them just because they're cute and they like them. That is true. So I'm glad that she said that right up front, because most people jump straight to there's some sad reason why you must have these dolls. Sometimes that's true and sometimes it's not. So I really appreciate her saying that right off the bat before she got into potential reasons.
Or younger AFAB people having these dolls as well. Sometimes people who either have a stillbirth, they have miscarriages, or they found out that they're just infertile completely, will often use these dolls as therapy and use the doll to either remember a newborn that they lost or to grieve their infertility, that they'll never get to be a mom if that's what they want, etc.
By the way, I do have a video coming out soon where we are going to be talking all about mental health and reborn dolls. The good, the bad, and the ugly. So be on the lookout for that video, because we are going to be talking about a lot of things. Some very sensitive topics, but I'm going to try my best to be extremely respectful when talking about those topics. So just thought I would let y'all know. I am going to be doing a video about that soon.
Another really important use for these are disabled folks. A lot of people with either physical or mental disabilities might be able to use these dolls as companions and as therapy without actually, if they can't care for another.
This is also something that I am going to be talking about in another upcoming video. I have a lot of videos in the works right now about really sensitive, important topics.
In real life, it's a good way for them to be able to, an outlet for their nurturing side, you know, something to nurture and take care of without risk to a real child. I see a lot of the owners of these dolls online. It feels like many of them, at least that I saw on TikTok, say that they have autism, and having these reborn dolls is a really, really great comfort, hyperfixation, kind of security item for them. Along those lines, people that are very, very elderly, or people that might have dementia or Alzheimer's, these reborn dolls can also be a great comfort to them, because holding a newborn, holding a baby.
Now, I'm not going to keep going on this. We're going to move on to the next topic, but overall, Hannah definitely covered that very well, I feel like. The reasons why somebody might want a reborn doll. Let's see what's next. Like I said, we can't go through the whole thing.
It's therapeutic. I've heard testimonies. Obviously, I don't have any data on this, but testimonies of people, like, if they don't talk because of their dementia, they'll, like, be given a reborn doll, and suddenly they're talking like crazy to the reborn doll as if it's their old.
I have seen this myself. Years ago, I used to take my dolls to an assisted living facility and to nursing homes and hospitals regularly, just to take my dolls for visits, just to cheer people up. And I saw this so many times where I would hand one of my reborns to one of the residents, and they would just light up. They would start chattering and talking. They would be so happy, whereas normally they'd be very agitated and upset. The caregivers and staff there could not believe it. Even the children or family members of these people, the residents there, would be super shocked to see this and to hear these people talking to the dolls. And they were super grateful for that. So that is true. I have seen that firsthand so many times. And that's why I used to take my dolls for visits like that. I really want to get back to doing that at some point, but in this current super busy season of my life, I just can't. I cannot squeeze that in. But one day, I would actually love to create a Reborn Doll therapy program or therapy organization. I know that there's other people out there who have done that. And actually, this lady that she's showing clips of while she's talking about this is Reborns with Reasons. And I do follow her on Instagram. And she does a lot of awareness about reborn dolls helping the elderly. She takes her dolls for visits regularly. So, yeah. Definitely go check out Reborns with Reasons, because I recognize her.
So then besides all those uses, they're also used as movie props. Like, these are extremely great for movies where there might be a newborn baby that the baby in the movie is way too young to get big to be a newborn in order to get the baby less screen time, which I think is really cool as we talk more about childhood labor rights, and social media. Use less children in movies as well so that they're not overworked or acting before they can consent to acting, before they
I definitely agree with her on this point 10,000%. A lot of you who have watched my channel for a long time know I'm against family vlogging, especially if the children are the center of the family vlogging channels. Those kids they can't consent to being filmed. They just can't. And a lot of times the parents either don't understand or don't care that the children are put in danger, because there are so many awful, crazy people out there. I'm a mother myself. I have 4 children, and I definitely am very passionate about children's safety online. A lot of people that watch my channel don't even know that I have children, or sometime in a video I'll mention that I have children, or I'll feature one of my kids for like a few seconds or a few minutes in the video, but I'm very careful not to share their name or their faces and things like that. And people are like, whoa, you have kids? Wait a minute. You have kids? And then people jump to the assumption that, oh, you have realistic baby dolls and you neglect your kids because you show your dolls on your channel more than your kids. Which is crazy, because this is a doll channel, number one, so I'm making content about dolls. This channel's not about my children, nor would I ever make a channel about my children. Because there's crazy people out there, and I care very much about their safety and their privacy. Anyway, there was my little rant about that. Let's keep going.
They want to be actors. So as you can see, there's a lot of extreme to the fair criticisms, of course. So the first biggest unfair criticism that people note is that there is a lot of sexism, misogyny, rooted in the hatred for the hobby, rooted in people that have reborn dolls. People that have reborn dolls, call that person creepy, call that person a freak, say it's really weird, and it is hard not to notice that it is a majority female hobby. It is mostly for women. It's hard not to notice that. And
I recently filmed a shorts video talking about this, because I get a lot of people who say I shouldn't be playing with dolls because I'm a mother. I need to go take care of my children because I'm a mother and I can't be out here playing with dolls and enjoying a childlike hobby. No. And it's crazy because men have so many childish hobbies. And I say that in quotes, childish hobbies that they enjoy and nobody bats an eye. Legos, Pokemon, they'll go out and ride their four-wheelers together. But yet, we get judged for having meetups with our dolls to enjoy our dolls together as a community and with other like dolly friends that enjoy the hobby. But yet men can go out boating together and they can go out fishing together and they can go on to Pokemon meets and all kinds of things and nobody bats an eye. How about video games? Video games. I think I looked up a statistic one time that said, I'll have to see if I can find it. It was either 85% or 95% of men play video games. You guys, video games, that could definitely be seen as a childish hobby. I'm just saying. I'm not judging. I'm just saying, why are we holding this standard to women that we can't have any childish hobbies? But yet men can? I'm sorry, but no.
I can promise you that a man who has a YouTube channel or a TikTok channel really into Legos, collects Legos, you know,
Yes.
they're out there, has rooms full
Yes.
of Legos and plays with them as a grown man. Everybody thinks that's amazing, and it is cool, but like it's, you know, it's just a hobby to everybody. They're super into something that is made for kids. And we're like, oh, that's so
Preach
cool.
it.
Look at your collection. You made this entire Star Wars thing out of
Exactly.
Legos. And that's so cool. But then when women like dolls, which are supposed to be for kids, then they get this reaction.
Yep.
And they're called creepy and freaks and weirdos. It's just cringe to a lot of people.
And here's the thing. When you're a mother, people understand it even less. But then here's the thing. Here's the contradiction of that. There will be people who come onto my channel quite often who say things like, oh my gosh, you're crazy. You're insane. Something is wrong with you. You're definitely mentally ill. Just go have a real baby. Did you just read your own comment before you actually hit post? Because aren't you kind of contradicting yourself? You think, if you really truly think that me collecting dolls and having a doll channel makes me mentally ill, why in the world would you want me to have a real living, breathing child? I'm just saying. You are telling me dolls and children are completely different things, but yet it's not like that's not computing to you that you're saying that. Because that's really how it is. Dolls and children, two completely different things. I don't see them as the same thing. They're nothing close to the same thing. They could never even be compared. My dolls are my hobby, my passion, and a business. My children are my children. Meant for me to love them, protect them, raise them. Two completely different things. That's insane to me that people even are like, oh yeah, dolls, just go have a real baby.
I think that is super unfair. There's an entire subreddit devoted to Reborn Doll cringe. While I understand that subreddit is not making fun of the whole community, but more just like the ugly dolls, we'll get to that subreddit here in a minute, I do think that some people on that Reddit, not accusing the whole subreddit of that, but some people on that subreddit are just like unnecessarily mean and judgmental to people.
Okay, so I'm going to kind of skip over the whole subreddit thing because I just don't think that's necessary to talk about. There's subreddits out there making fun of every hobby, every community, everything. So, I'm just going to kind of skip over that because, I don't really care to cover that too much. But it is crazy to me that people are actually part of this subreddit of making fun of reborn dolls. That is funny to me. If you hate them so much, why do you keep looking at them? If you're not, actually, I could probably see some people from within the doll community joining this subreddit to hate on the ugly dolls. Yeah, I could see that. I could see that. But as far as people from outside the community that hate the dolls altogether, why are you wasting your time? Too many people waste their time hating on Reborn doll collectors when they hate the dolls. Why? Why are you wasting your life over here then? Go find something that makes you happy.
So if you like these, just know I am not judging you whatsoever, and my goal is to help people also not judge you and not be mean, unless you're doing some of the super weird problematic stuff that does come out of this community, unfortunately. So, some fair criticisms. Let's talk about
Here we go.
So the main criticism that you'll see over and over is
So she's about to get into a lot of the controversies, and a lot of these controversies aren't even controversies. Some of them are not controversies within the doll community. Like, she's going to get into the doll collectors using real formula thing. That, right off the bat, let's just clear that up, which I have to do in so many of my videos. 99.9% of the Reborn doll community does not use real baby formula for the milk props for their dolls. We use fabric softener. We use expired formula that's not fit to be fed to real babies. We use formula that's gone bad. We'll use things like flour or lotion and water. There's this stuff called magic milk that you can make for your dolls. So many different things to use as a milk prop. We don't need real baby formula that's meant for real babies. It's still good for real babies to drink. And most people in the doll community are against that. But anyway, I'm kind of getting ahead of myself. So I guess let's go ahead and get into it. But it's brought up so much when people talk about the Reborn doll community. And it's just crazy to me because most of us don't do that. And as a matter of fact, most people who are doing that with their dolls, buying real baby formula, as you'll see, this lady that she talks about and shows clips of, that particular lady, just my opinion, I think that she was actually doing that for rage bait. She was doing it to get attention, and that's why she's posting it online. This person did not care the consequences of her actions as far as how it would make the Reborn doll community look by doing what she did. Every single time that one collector out of the millions of us in the world, one collector comes along and says, I buy real formula for my Reborns, then the whole damn world thinks that all collectors must do that. Ooh, get them. That's what they all think.
Unfair and fair criticisms. The whole Reborn doll community does a lot of role playing. We're going to talk about that throughout this video, but people, when they role play, it gets...
Now, she said the whole Reborn doll community does a lot of role playing. That is not really true. Their dolls can sit on a shelf, get changed every now and then put back in a display case and things like that. The whole Reborn doll community does not role play. And I just want to clarify as well that for those of us who have Reborn doll channels and social medias like TikTok, YouTube, a lot of us role play on camera for our channels, for content, because we love putting together the storyline. We love bringing this art to life in a fun and creative way and sharing it with other collectors. But a lot of us who are doing role play on camera are not doing it off camera. I myself, when I do a little like night routine or morning routine videos with my dolls, it's all scripted. It's all filmed in little bits and clips. None of it is real. I don't role play with my dolls off camera. I don't ever treat my dolls like they're real. I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with people who do that at all. I'm just saying that the majority of us that are out here making really realistic looking content, we aren't doing this on a daily basis, and a lot of us don't even do it off camera. So I just want to clarify that.
Immersive, and it gets very detailed, and it does, to an outsider, again, so I'm so sorry. I'm like you're not hurting anybody, right? So there's nothing wrong with that, but I can understand why it feels a little creepy to people that don't get it. And people role play. Here's some examples of some role playing with the dolls, and it's might be a little more intense.
So she said that it can be, creepy from outsiders looking in who don't understand. 10,000%. Yes, it can. When I first stumbled upon Reborns on YouTube in 2014, I was actually watching like cute baby videos or funny cute baby videos on YouTube, and I stumbled upon a video of a reborn toddler role play of the toddler helping to bake some cookies. And I had no idea what a reborn was in 2014. I had no idea what that was. I was so confused. The video was in my recommended section on YouTube, and I scrolled past it looking for something else to watch, but I kept going back and looking at it because I was like, what is a reborn toddler? What does that mean? What is that? And curiosity got the better of me, and I ended up clicking on that video. Then my next thought was, wait a minute, what the heck? This baby isn't even real. What? And then I was like, oh, this must be a kid at first. Thought process. And then I was like, wait a minute. This is a lady. This is a grown woman playing with a doll. And I was confused and a little bit creeped out because the doll was so realistic and I had never seen anything like that before. And mind you, this is a reaction from a doll collector. I've been collecting dolls my entire life. And realistic baby dolls have always been my favorite dolls to collect. And I still had that reaction when I found these dolls. So I can understand why people stumbling upon roleplay videos would be like, whoa, what's going on here? Because it doesn't make any sense when you just stumble upon it and you know nothing about the Reborn doll community. So I watched that video, right? And then I went to that creator's other videos. I was really curious. I was like, where does one buy these realistic dolls? And I started watching her videos, and then I believe I spent like the next day just binge watching her videos in fascination. And then probably within the next month or two, I was like, you know what? I want one of these. So yeah, anyway, all of that just to say, I definitely understand people stumbling upon the roleplay and thinking that it's weird and not understanding what's going on.
Than you're imagining.
Let's get my fake baby ready for nap time. Cohen was chilling by my side in the office while I was getting some work done, but he started fussing, so I figured it was probably time for his bottle. I sat him in his swing so I can get his bottle all ready. Cohen has been very...
I'm going to go ahead and skip through the rest of this. We're going to go on to the next thing here. But this particular creator who had a couple of her videos, this one included, featured in Hannah's video, actually made a very interesting statement about how her videos were used in this video. And this is something I may talk about in my membership section, because I just think it's interesting to talk about. No hate to her or anything. I just think it's a really interesting topic to dig a little deeper into. Just looking at her response to how her videos were used in this video. So I might do that in my membership section. If you want to join my membership, I will have that linked in the description. In my membership, we go into more like, I don't know, not dolly drama, but some deeper dives into the Reborn doll community and things that happen in the Reborn doll community. I also share a little bit more of like personal stuff that's going on in my personal life, more casual chats. I want to start doing live streams in there for members only. I also do some members only giveaways. So I'm working more and more on building up the content that I have in my membership section. So I just wanted to mention that. But I am considering talking about this creator's reaction to Hannah's video, which I just thought was really interesting. And I have another reaction video coming up, so we might make it a bundle video talking about some behind the scenes things. There's another video I want to react to soon by a big creator who did one recently, very similar to Hannah's here, but by a man. So it was from like a man's viewpoint, and that's really interesting as well. And he actually used some of my video footage from my YouTube channel. So I'll probably do that video first, and then maybe we'll do a deeper dive into both Hannah's video and his video in the membership section. Anyway, sorry, rambling. Let's keep going. Let's go on to the next thing here. She just shows a couple of roleplay videos. I think she shows this entire little roleplay routine. She seems to have only used footage from TikTok. I don't know if she just wasn't aware that the YouTube community for Reborns is very big, but TikTok seems to be the social media that everybody's on right now. I'm not on TikTok, nor do I ever really want to be on TikTok, to be honest. Never say never, but at this point I'm like, never.
Anybody by role playing most of the time, right? And we'll get to that. But it's really, there's nothing wrong with wanting to role play with your dolls, but I think posting it online, people that don't, and I know people in the community really enjoy watching these, right? They really, really like watching other people role play with their dolls, but it is just like objectively to people, like I said, people that don't get it, it is just a little creepy. I'm so sorry. It is a little creepy.
I want to reiterate, a lot of us who are doing this super realistic roleplay videos on social media, we don't actually do this off camera. Most of us don't. A lot of us are doing it to create content and, well, like she said, to share with other doll collectors. All right, now she's getting into the real formula debate, which is not even really a debate to 99% of the Reborn doll community. So let's get into it.
Formula for their babies, and there was a nationwide shortage of formula. Moms were having trouble going to the store and finding the formula that they needed for their real babies who were going to go hungry without it. I'm sure more people were doing this than we knew about, but the biggest public offender of this was somebody named Millie Hooper.
Okay, so before I forget to say this, sorry, I have to stop it again. But a couple years ago, there was a massive formula shortage here in the U.S. And I actually was going to my stores to help other moms around the country find formula for their babies because they weren't able to find the formula that they needed for their babies. Now, I am a mother myself, and I have done a combination of breastfeeding and formula for my children. I have a lot of chronic health conditions, and I wish that I could exclusively breastfeed my children when they're babies, but I just can't do it. It's so sad. I've tried everything, and it's devastating to me. But my children, I have to supplement formula with them when they're babies. And it is terrifying, absolutely terrifying, when you cannot find food for your child. I had a baby at that time too. And luckily I had enough formula saved up, plus I was still also breastfeeding my child. So I was okay, but it was still scary. But there were moms all over the country who couldn't find the formula for their babies. People who do not have babies themselves do not understand just how terrifying that feels. And a lot of people were like, oh, well, just go find a different formula then for your baby. If there's any formula on the shelf, just go buy that. People don't understand that certain babies have certain dietary needs, and you can't just swap out a baby's formula just like that. It will hurt their tummy. It will hurt their digestive system. And there are so many different kinds of formulas out there. You can't do that. Anyway, so I was going around to my stores and buying formula for other moms when I could find it and shipping it to them because their babies were on the verge of starving. I was already pretty passionate about doll collectors not using formula for their dolls before that. I already disagreed with people using formula for their dolls, but after the formula shortage, I'm now like, absolutely not. This is just my personal opinion. I'm not attacking anybody. I'm allowed to have my own opinion, especially because of my viewpoint as a mother and having gone through that formula shortage while I had a baby too. I don't think that doll collectors should be using baby formula for their dolls, period. Again, no hate to anybody. You can disagree with me if you want, but from my viewpoint, just the cries online for help from these mothers who couldn't find formula. If even one doll collector took a can of formula off the shelf that could have fed a real baby during that formula shortage, that is wrong. A lot of rambling and ranting about that one, but it's just, that is a subject that is very important to me. And yeah, I have a viewpoint as a doll collector and a mother that some people may not understand or see.
She was the main person posting about this on TikTok, posting her buying the formula and then mixing it up and giving it to her reborn dolls, and people in the comments were like, cool, I can't even find formula for my own baby who is starving. And you just, okay, cool. You know, I do remember the formula shortage. If you don't know, if you're not familiar with childcare and children, if babies...
So this particular content creator, looking at the content I've seen that she made about her buying formula for her dolls, I do truly believe, this is my opinion, that it was rage bait. She was creating rage bait. It was getting views. She was getting attention, and that's what she wanted. I think that if nobody paid attention to her, I think that if everybody just didn't say anything, didn't engage with her content, turned around and walked away, I don't think she would have done that. Just my opinion. But by how she doubled down and just did it more and more when people were upset about what she was doing, tells me that it was probably very likely rage bait and that she liked the attention.
People were rightfully mad, especially because in the Reborn community, it's often advocated to use other stuff for milk. So a lot of people mix flour in water. A lot of people just use fabric softener for their reborn baby bottles and stuff like that, and then they can use them.
Credit to Hannah for mentioning that, because a lot of larger content creators or platforms that mention this, they will jump on doll collectors. Oh, they're using formula. Look at this one case where one person used formula. While there's millions of us out here who don't do that and don't encourage that whatsoever. Most of them do not mention that there are so many other things we use for props, for milk, for the dolls. Now, right now, I have fabric softener that I use, and I also have a container of old expired baby formula that is not fit to be fed to any baby. That was stored in the back of a pantry, sat there and went bad and expired. Just no. I would never feed my real baby that formula. And I use that now for the dolls. So instead of it going straight to the trash, it actually has a purpose. So that's actually a good thing. Anyway, but credit to Hannah for mentioning that, because most big creators who cover this don't.
Just could mean that they don't have the one that you feed your baby with. You could buy the
This was that girl going off because she was buying formula for her dolls. We're just going to skip that nonsense. I'm sorry. We're going to skip it.
But I also think it's relevant to note that Millie, I think allegedly, was only 19 years old at that age, has reflected on an awful person. This community has been problematic when people have left these babies in certain places and people mistake them for real babies. In July of 2008, which I know was like 17 years ago.
She's just going to quickly cover people leaving dolls in cars, and then the the police or fire rescue showing up and breaking windows of cars to save the baby when it was just a doll in the car. So she's going to talk a little bit about that. Anyway, so she just talks about that. So we're going to kind of skip over that. But that doesn't happen as often anymore because, well, collectors don't want their cars' windows smashed.